The political climate in Bangladesh is pretty tense. The police is firing rubber bullets and tear gas to disperse crowds, blockading roads in Bangladesh's capital of Dhaka. Now, these protesters are demanding for Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to step down. They want an interim government to oversee the upcoming elections. Now, the opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party and also its allies have staged a series of protests since last year, demanding for free and fair elections. Since yesterday, clashes have erupted in several locations. Now, the opposition parties and also its allies are claiming that until now, the police have arrested over 500 protesters. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party and also its allies have organized a sit-in protest, which has turned violent after the ruling party supporters called a rally of their own.
আমরা যেহেতু রাষ্ট্র ক্ষমতায় মানুষের জানমালের নিরাপত্তার বিধান করার দায়িত্ব আমাদের, সেই কারণে আমরা বিবেকবোধের তাগিদ থেকে আমরা দেশপ্রেমের জায়গায় আমরা মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রীর নির্দেশে আমরা রাজপথে আছি। কেউ যেন মানুষের গায়ে হাত দিতে না পারে, আগুনে হাত দিতে না পারে, যেন মানুষের ক্ষতি করতে না পারে।
As opposition is called for the government to step down, buses and cars were set on fire on the road entrance to Dhaka. And so far, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government has denied their calls to establish a caretaker government before the upcoming national polls.
এই অবৈধ সরকার, এই নিশিরাতের সরকার, ভোটচোর সরকারের পতন এবং বাংলার মানুষ যেন সুখে শান্তিতে বাস করতে পারে, নির্বিঘ্নে ভোট দিতে পারে, নিজের ভোট নিজে দিতে পারে। আমরা এই সরকারের পদত্যাগ চাই। আমরা চাই এই নিশিরাতের সরকার, এই জুলুমবাজ সরকার যেন অতি শীঘ্রই পতন হয়, এই সরকার যেন পদত্যাগ করে।
কারণ এই স্বৈরাচার সরকার কারণ যেভাবে দেশ চালাচ্ছে এভাবে দেশ চালায় না। এই জন্যই আসছি আমরা এখানে নিজের ভোট নিজে দেওয়ার জন্য। আজ পর্যন্ত কখনো আমাদের ভোট আমরা দিতে পারি নাই।
Now, Sheikh Hasina's ruling Awami League party has been in power over the South Asian nation since 2009. Her arch-rival Khalida Zia is the former premier of Bangladesh. They are known as battling Begums. On the one hand is Sheikh Hasina, who is the daughter of the father of Bangladesh, President Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And on the other is Khalida Zia, whose husband Ziaur Rahman had declared Bangladesh's independence in 1975. Ever since there's been a power tussle between the two leaders, each is demanding their claim to the throne. Now, to give us more insights in terms of what's, of course, happening in Bangladesh at this moment, we're being joined by Mr. Imtiaz Ahmed, who is a professor of international relations. He's joining us live from Dhaka. Mr. Ahmed, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here on WION. And let me begin by asking you, what is happening in Bangladesh at this moment? Why is it that people are out on the streets protesting against the Prime Minister and demanding for her resignation?
Thank you very much. I don't think it is out of the norm. It has happened even in earlier national elections. The problem is that the big parties have not come up to a point where they could trust each other. I think there is a serious deficit of trust particularly among the major two political parties, Awami League and BNP, and there are good reasons for that distrust, because there are parties in the opposition who look at 1971 differently, who look at the issue of genocide differently, not to mention also the 15th August tragedy that we had in 1975, that is also looked upon differently by some of the parties in the opposition. And if we can add the 21st August, where our current Prime Minister was targeted, you could easily see that the big political parties have no reasons practically to trust each other. So there is a serious trust deficit, and the kind of democratic election that one would want requires, the minimum requirement is trust that we don't have. Now, it's more than, I heard you saying, the battling Begums. I think it's more than that. It's actually two identities have come up, and when two identities, come up in a political context, there is little room for any compromise, because it's like a zero-sum game. So what we are having is a reproduction of something that has happened in our history. I don't think it's out of the norm. We have to see how many people would actually join the opposition. That is something to be seen, because even if you look at our history, it has always been people at the end, they decide literally by coming out to the streets. Now we have to see, and it's not 10,000 or 20,000, because it's a big country with 170 million. So we need to see whether in millions they turn up or not, on the side of the opposition. But if it doesn't, then I'm afraid nothing serious will happen.
Absolutely. Indeed. Now, my next question to you, Mr. Ahmed, is this. Now, the elections in Bangladesh are slated for January next year, and the protests are presently underway by the opposition party, which is the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. Now, how much of a support has the opposition party got for these protests that it is carrying out?
Well, that is yet to be seen from now to the time when the Election Commission will decide on the timetable. I think there is a space. In that space, definitely the opposition parties would want to see whether millions of people are with them. Otherwise, I'm afraid I don't think they would be able to get the demand that they have, particularly changing the constitution and asking for the caretaker government, because the ruling party is quite adamant in having the kind of election that they have decided through the constitution. So I don't think there will be any change on that. So from now to the timing of the election commission that the election commission has in deciding the exact dates, there is a little space there. And so in the next 2-3 months, or at least next 3 months probably would be critical. And one has to see whether the opposition party has succeeded in bringing people in millions. And I'm trying to point out that word very carefully, because without millions of people, I'm afraid we don't see any change even in the past, and I don't see any change. There will be no change even in the future.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Imtiaz Ahmed, for joining us and getting us all those insights there.
Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.